Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go.
Hello.
Hey.
We decided to do something. We teased you in the last episode. Reminder, tease them in the episode we haven't yet recorded yet that comes out before this.
No two selves.
The timeline is we're recording this one pretty far in advance, but we did tease you in the last episode, because I'm going to remember to do it, that we had an announcement that we were going to be airing today. And here is the culmination of that. So we decided we are going to be bringing back one time only for this year. We did it once last year. We're going to do it once this year. Our course, Getting Over Peoplepleasing. It was new last year. It was the first time we'd ever done it, and it went really well. And it's time to do it again.
It's time to do it again, just partially because it's been a while, but also because I've been seeing a lot of people-pleasing come up in the middle of this pandemic for a number of reasons.
We could go into a whole episode about why a time like this would put extra strain on your people-pleasing.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to list them out really quickly.
I kind of do, too.
Okay, number one. The changing dynamics and boundaries means that you don't know where to draw the line anymore and what's okay and what's not okay. So changing dynamics and rules means it throws you into a bit of disarray and you don't know how to respond.
Being cooped up with people for months at a time means sometimes people pleasers are going to smooth things over just because it's too chaotic to have their homes be disrupted. So they'll people please people that they're living with, or people that they're what do we call it? A quarantine? Your quarantine, because they're your only people right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. I hadn't really thought about that. I was thinking more about work, and I've had a lot of clients trying to navigate, I don't want to go back to work in person. I don't feel comfortable with that. And also, I don't think I need to, because I've been working successfully from home this whole time. But I feel bad not doing it. I feel guilt about not wanting to do that because I'm not an at-risk person necessarily. So how do I navigate that type of situation that was not an option until now?
Yep. Or what if you lost your job and now you're getting back into interviewing and you really, really, really need a job, and you find yourself people-pleasing in interviews just because you're so desperate to get a job? There's so many things that could be exacerbating people-pleasing right now. So I feel like not only do we just need to bring it back because it's been a while and some people weren't around last time we did this, but also it's pretty relevant at the moment.
If anyone's thinking, why do you guys have a whole course about this? Like, I understand why you guys have a course about the Passion Profile short course. That's like your whole thing. That's like, you have a quiz about that. I get why you have a course about it too. Why this one seemingly random subject? Because it's not at all random. It is often at the root of why you don't know what you want. Is because you have spent your whole life trying to please other people and never being given the space, or feeling like even if sometimes people pleasers have the space, they just feel like they don't. Or sometimes they have been actively told that it's wrong of them to consult their own intuition and what they want. And so, it comes naturally to some people, and it's also something that gets exacerbated by the way you grow up. Either way, what happens is that if you're way more focused on making sure that people like you and making sure that you're acceptable and that, you're a high achiever and all of that, then you're not going to have a lot of space and time to focus on what you want and how to make decisions that work for you. And we cannot help you get what you want until you get over that.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest patterns that over the years we have noticed gets in the way. So if you're so focused on pleasing other people and then you realize, I don't think I'm that happy in my life or my career, well, those things often go hand in hand. And we have to disentangle the people pleasing to get you to a place of enjoying and feeling fulfilled and purposeful in your own life. Because you have to be able to name and go after your own desires, even if sometimes they go against other people's desires for you.
Yeah. So this is it's a mix of, well, it's mostly a do-it-yourself type of course, but we do it on a timetable. So it's not like you can just buy it at any time. We're doing it. It's going to come out on, well, the launch is going to start you can sign up in 2 weeks. So on the 21st through the 28th, enrollment will be open for a week. And then we will get started the following Monday, which is what, August 30th?
Probably.
31st, I think, that Monday. And then it'll run for a month. So every week you'll get for 4 weeks, you'll get access to new content. You can't work through it ahead of time. There's a flow to this. And then there's active Q&A happening in the private forum where Kristen and I are answering questions and responding to your issues and your challenges and the homework that we've asked you to do.
Yeah, it's kind of cohort style in that way where you're doing it on your own, but you have a group. And so there is some built-in accountability. And it's very action-oriented.
Yeah.
Because we don't want you to just understand your people pleasing. We want you to actually stop repeating those patterns over and over again and try something healthier. So you're going to be asked to do some uncomfortable things, but you're going to do them with the support of a whole bunch of other people who are also dealing with people pleasing.
Yeah.
Going through it together.
So if that sounds interesting to you, then you can go in the show notes and get on the VIP list so that you are aware.
You'll be the first to be alerted.
Yes. And I'm thinking, we haven't decided exactly, but I'm thinking, because this was something people really appreciated during quarantine, I'm thinking we're going to give away some single sessions to people who want to do getting over people pleasing. I'm not sure we can give them away to everyone who wants to do it, which is why if you're on that VIP list, we'll probably let you guys have first dibs on getting over people pleasing plus a single session.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that could be helpful because some of this it's helpful to talk through a little bit.
We haven't totally decided how we're going to do that, but I just want you to know best place to be is that VIP list so that you have access to whatever things we decide to do. All right, we'll be talking about this more. We'll be reminding you about this ad nauseum until it's over. As
for now, all you need to do is get on that VIP list and wait for more information.
Or if you don't like the idea of going to the show notes and clicking, which I don't, that's fine if that's not your way. You could also just go to clarityonfire.com and then the people pleasing is under the work with us tab. Yep. I feel like it's pretty easy to go to the show notes though. Like your thumbs aren't that lazy.
Just a little scrolling.
Not that hard. You just scroll either way. All right. So we have got a new episode of Dear Krachel. A couple of questions. Interestingly.
Well, one update and 2 questions.
Yes. Interestingly, these questions were inspired by some of our previous episodes. Mm-hmm. So, all right. But here is an update. I think you guys will be interested to hear this one. This is from Claire from our last episode of Dear Krachel, who asked that really tough question about what makes for a deal breaker in relationships. And, she was struggling with someone who was an ex, thankfully, but who had been homophobic and she was queer. Is that a deal breaker? Obviously, definitively, we said yes, but you should go back and listen to the whole conversation.
There is more nuance to it, but yes, we really dig into deal breakers in relationships.
So Claire says, thank you so much for answering my questions on Dear Krachel. I've listened almost every day when I feel my worst. I know you're right, and my heart definitely isn't where my head is right now. So I'm starting work this week with a love/sex/relationship counselor who has worked with Dr. Drew. I hope she kicks my ass, so to speak. I'm sick of feeling like shit and being held back because I always fall for these guys who are not right for me, to put it nicely.
I love this. I love that she listened to it multiple times as a reminder.
And I like the admission that she's like, you know what? You're right. And, my head knows you're right and my heart can't get there. And so I need to go to therapy.
Yeah.
I'm very in support of her working with someone who can kick her butt.
I've been there. I want to say it's normal to know
It
something
is.
and you're just emotionally not there yet. It still hurts and you're sad and you wish it were different, and that's okay. But I love that you are seeking out somebody to help you through
Right.
that catching your heart up to your head phase.
Yeah, I don't like this pattern and it's time to change it. And I'm going to put myself in the hands of someone who knows more than me. I'm all for that. So good luck with therapy, Claire. I hope you'll give us another update about how your new therapist is.
Yeah. Okay, question number 1. This one's funny because it's actually a response to Claire's question.
Yeah, it was inspired.
Dear Krachel, your answer to Claire's question last month inspired mine. So I've never broken up with someone before, and I'm really struggling with pulling the trigger. I know we're not compatible, but he's a good guy and he cares about me a lot. I care about him too, but I don't feel this is the long-term relationship for me. It's also the 10th anniversary of his dad's passing next month, so how can I break up with him before that? But also, how can I let it go at least another month? Help. This is from Dallying Dumper.
Well, that's one of my favorite
Yeah,
pseudonyms.
that's a good pseudonym.
Dee Dee. I'm not going to call you Dumpy or something, so let's just call you Dee Dee.
Dee-dee, that's
Dee
good.
Dee is good. Woo! Oh, girl. I actually don't know that Dallying Dumper is a girl. I think I just got that vibe.
Yeah,
but I don't
that's
think
true.
they said either way. Doesn't matter. Well, Dee Dee, I think you got to do it because what's going to happen is then he's going to find out that you wanted to break up with him a month ago and didn't. And then it's going to be really bad that you like kind of only pitied. You were only doing it out of pity. People don't want you to pity them. They really, really, really don't want that.
Yeah, I always like to try to put myself in the other situation in these scenarios. And I'm imagining being the person who's about to be dumped and having someone hold on to dating me even though they didn't want to because there was some
Because I was going to be sad. Or
Yeah.
there was, like something.
or like
was
like holidays, or like people have all these reasons why now's not the right time. This,
right.
terrible anniversary or this holiday, and I don't want this person to be sad in this time. And I'm like, I think I'd be sadder knowing
Yeah.
that somebody was only there
Because they pitied me.
because they felt bad. Yeah. And this is so hard. I know this is the first time that you do something like this.
Yeah.
It's especially challenging. It doesn't really get that much easier, but the first time.
Oh, you and all of your experience dumping men?
Well, true. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, hurting someone that you care about, I feel like that's probably never going to be an easy thing.
No, and that's why waiting for it to be easy, which I don't think is what she's doing, but I think sometimes we get into that state accidentally where we're like waiting for it to be easier. And that's a fallacy because it never gets easier. Like, this is something that's just hard, and expecting it not to be hard means you'll never do it. It just is hard, you have to do it.
And if you wait, it's not going to be easier. It's just going to be harder for longer for you and the other person.
Yeah.
So you can do a really hard thing now and then both start healing. Or you could do a hard thing for both of you for a while and then do a really hard thing and then start healing. So it's like, let's prolong the pain, which also prolongs the healing.
I recently had a client break up with her partner of, I don't know, a year or more, maybe 2 years. It was a little while that they were together. And she'd been wanting to break up with him for like at least 6 months. But really, she'd been having doubts about their relationship since the very beginning. But she just felt really bad. And she was afraid that he was going to spiral and that he was going to mentally not be in a good place. Which, first of all, and this is slightly not related to Dee Dee's. We actually don't know. Dee Dee didn't mention this, but we don't know that the exact situation that, he or she is in. But in my client's situation, that's such a red flag that you feel like you can't leave a relationship because of how the other person is going to respond. It's not your responsibility how they respond. And this actually gets into something we get into in our people-pleasing course inadvertently. I didn't mean to bring that up, but it just kind of is relevant, is when you try to steal a difficult lesson from someone, you end up stifling their growth. What I told her is that he might need this really difficult experience in order to come to terms with stuff that he's struggling to come to terms with. It might be the way for him to get the most amount of growth the most quickly. People need catalysts. They need hard things to happen to them sometimes so that they can see that they have an opportunity to grow.
And along those lines, it's funny, I was actually thinking, I wonder if Dallying Dumper is a people pleaser as well.
Most of you seem to be.
Because being someone else's catalyst
real hard
is really hard. And then if you're a people pleaser, it feels almost impossible.
Yeah.
It goes against everything in your nature to be the catalyst that might potentially push someone to their rock bottom or push them to a really bad place where they can have the ability to learn a lesson. And even if there's not a fear of someone going to a really dark place, even
hurting them
and allowing someone to maybe hate you for a little while or be angry with you or be disappointed in you for a little while. And doing that, knowing that they have to do that for their own recovery sometimes. It's a healthy thing to go through a phase of
I'm pissed
hating
off.
being pissed off or hating your ex after they break up with you as a healing phase, and to put yourself into that. Ooh, that's hard for a people pleaser.
I can't ever justify holding on to something that you know you no longer want because you're afraid of hurting people's feelings, because what you're really doing is you're keeping that person stuck. You're keeping that person in a holding pattern of something that's not actually a win-win for them. And that means that there's no space in their life for something better.
You're holding both of you in a holding pattern. You don't get to move on. They don't get to move on. You get stuck in this self-perpetuating cycle that's not going anywhere for either of you. That's no way to treat yourself or someone that you care about.
I mean, there's someone out there that probably wants to date your ex who finds them not, just like something they tolerate, but someone they actually want to actively be with. And as long as you're with them, that can't happen. And it's just not your job to decide that what someone can handle or what they can't handle. It's not your job. It's not your job to steal someone's lesson from them.
And I know part of it was timing. And I just want to say, this is not brand new, but I think we all need a reminder. There's no perfect timing for something like this.
No.
If you wait another month, then you'll realize, oh, now we're getting close to the holidays. And oh, now it's their birthday. Or now it's like, there's always something. And you can string on a relationship for months or years, just trying to find the right time. It doesn't exist.
I also want to say, and a lot of you aren't going to like this, but watch me not care. You think that's empathy, and it's actually a little bit selfish. And I don't mean to trigger Dee or anybody. Well, I kind of do. I'm pushing a button on purpose here, but I don't mean it to be hurtful. I mean it to be illuminating. That often what you think is selflessness. Like, I don't want to hurt them. It's actually, I don't want to deal with the discomfort of hurting someone because it makes me so uncomfortable.
My discomfort.
Yeah. Because it makes me so uncomfortable. Like, is it really about the other person, or is it also a little bit about you and your discomfort with someone else's pain and being the catalyst? I think it has a lot more to do with you than a lot of people are willing to give themselves credit for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, but that's just how it is.
It's true.
I know.
That's kind of what people pleasing is also.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to bring up things. I don't want to go there because it makes me feel uncomfortable. But it gets masqueraded as
selflessness,
caring about other people first. So it's just, it's messy. And I think you know what you need to do, Dee. And I think it's just scary. And it's hard.
My client did break up with her boyfriend, and he actually took it pretty well. He did not go to that crazy rock bottom place that she was afraid of. And he, did seem to be using it as a catalyst for the things that he needed to explore and to change. And it actually ended up being really good for both of them.
Usually our worst case scenarios about these things never actually come to pass.
No.
I have people who are so worried about quitting jobs sometimes that they can't sleep the night before. And they're so anxious.
Yeah, and then it's such a non-issue.
It's fine.
I know.
Everyone understands. And it's not a huge deal.
I know.
Often these things go a little smoother than we expect anyway.
Whew. One last thing I'll say, again, related to people pleasing, is that often when you've never done something like this before, you do procrastinate because you don't know how it's supposed to feel and how it's supposed to go. And there's such a need to practice the emotional plank, so to speak, of just doing something that's challenging and hard. And it's never going to be easy. And so a lot of what we talk about with people who are really afraid of hurting other people pleasers or not. I mean, everyone who's empathetic has a fear of disappointing people or hurting people or not wanting to cause distress in somebody else. But we often have to practice sort of the literal sort of breathing through the discomfort of causing that sometimes. Because no matter what, whether you're breaking up with someone or whether you're just living your life and other people in your life are not necessarily going to understand or align with your choices, you just being yourself and going after what you want will cause discomfort in other people. And you have to be solid enough within yourself to breathe through the discomfort of that. And it literally requires you getting good at holding that sort of emotional plank and waiting for the peak of that pain to dissolve, because it doesn't last forever. It literally is sort of like a wave that crests and then crashes.
Yeah, it doesn't really get easier over time necessarily, but you have more confidence in yourself to weather it.
I do think sometimes it gets easier.
Maybe a little.
I mean, I do think it can get better. Yeah, I don't think that the peak of the pain is always as high.
Planks are never going to be fun, man.
They might get a little can hold easier. Them for longer.
Right. And you know that they end. The first time you do it, you think your abs are going to explode.
I guess this is, and what if you were doing it and you didn't know when it ended? Which you can go to yoga and then they're holding it and you're like, woman, tell me when this ends. Stop, count down at least,
Right. And you don't know, can I do it or not?
Right.
So even if the next time it's still really hard, at least you know, I've done this before.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can get through this. It ends. I'm going to be okay on the other side.
Yeah.
So the first time you break up with someone, you're going to be like, can I do it? I don't even know. This seems so hard. And then if you do it next time, next time this has to happen again, it's still going to be really hard to hurt someone.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to know things worked out okay in the end.
Whether it's a breakup or quitting a job, this experience will be useful to you because there will be other situations that might not be a complete relationship breakup, but they might be relevant and you'll learn a lot from this.
Yep.
Bottom line is these things aren't meant to be easy. Lean into the fact that they're hard and then they'll be over faster.
Yeah. And there's no good time. So again, better to rip the Band-Aid off.
Just do it, Dee Dee. All right. Only have another question because I knew that we were going to talk a lot about people pleasing and our update and all of that. So, Dear Krachel, after listening to your latest side chat about how to tell if your intuition was wrong, so that was our side chat from July 17th. So go back and listen to that. It brought up a question for me. I've noticed that ever since I started being open to the universe's hints about things, it seems like it's been harder to discern between messages I should pay more attention to and the ones that are just little acknowledgments. For example, when I was just starting to explore spiritual guidance, the nudges were much more obvious because I didn't see or feel them all the time. But now, despite feeling more connected to life than ever before, it's almost as if being aware of that connection makes sorting through energies more complicated. Have you ever experienced anything like this? Katie. I have an analogy coming to mind that I think will visualize this for me and everybody else. Yes, this makes perfect sense. This is like I was bone dry and then I went out and I felt rain on my body for the first time. And it was like, holy crap.
What is this wet stuff?
Have you ever swam in a pool while it was raining?
Yeah, you can't.
You can't feel that you're getting wet, right? So yes, this makes a lot of sense, Katie. When you get into the energy and flow of something, it can start to feel like hard to sometimes discern.
Well, it's like what's a mist versus what's a downpour. At first, it was just, oh my gosh, this is just rain. What is happening here? I'm getting wet. But now you're discerning subtle differences, which I think is a really cool and astute question because it's getting into nuance now. This is not just, does the universe, is it even
There.
connecting with me at all? And it's, well, what's worth paying attention to? What's just, so Rachel and I call those subtle hints more like winks from the universe, just kind of like a, hey, I'm there, just making my presence known.
So her real question is,
what's
how
the difference
to tell
between
the
that
difference
and
between
then,
just little, hey, what's up, girl? And, yo, girl, you should really do that thing.
yes.
Oh, perfect. Oh, my God. Katie, this happens to me all the time, and it's so annoying. I call this the pineapple problem in my head.
You do?
Yes.
You've never told me that.
I think of it as the pineapple problem.
Okay, please explain.
So there was a time where I was seeing pineapples everywhere. And I think it's just because I saw a pair of shoes that had pineapples on them that I really liked. And then I just started seeing pineapples everywhere. But does that mean something? It's like, I don't think I'm supposed to move to Hawaii. I don't think I'm supposed to be a pineapple farmer. I don't think pineapples, they can be symbols of abundance. It could have just been like hey, you're abundant. Pay attention to abundance. It could just be a cheering me on for being in a vibration of abundance. I don't know. But I don't think that the pineapples deeply meant anything. But that will happen to me occasionally.
This is happening to me right now with rabbits.
Okay.
I'm seeing rabbits, actual real live ones, but also references all over the place. And do I think I'm supposed to go adopt a pet rabbit? No.
But rabbits are a sign of abundance.
Sure. Yeah. There might be some nice little kind of winks like, hey, you're on the right track. Hey, things are going well.
Right.
But it's not like, go do this thing or danger, get away. It's no big action is required from me. And it's not some critical message. It's more of just like you said, hey, girl, what's up? Looking out.
Like the other day, I told you I wrote a text for our list that had a Wayne Gretzky quote in it, the one about you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And then that day, I was listening to Malcolm Gladwell, his podcast, and he mentioned Wayne Gretzky. It wasn't an episode about him. It was just a passing comment about him. And I was like, guess I'm on a Wayne Gretzky vibe. So does that mean something? Right. No, I don't think it's I don't even know what that would mean if it meant something, but I don't think it's whoa, you need to check this out. So versus
when I think I gave this example in a podcast a while back where I was trying to choose between different medications for something through my doctor. And
this was in the Honing Your Intuition episode.
Yeah, I guess it was. And I was on the phone with a customer service person who says her daughter's name, which is the name of one of the medications. And I was like, okay, that is an action-oriented sign. I'm supposed to do something about that. That's too weird.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing that's actually guiding you to
a particular answer?
To a particular answer or a particular action or something that you need to engage more with.
Yeah.
Than just a nice sign.
Yeah. So I would say there's a couple of themes here. One is frequency. How many times have you seen something? Now, frequency is not the only thing. Because again, you can see pineapples out the wazoo. And I don't think it has to deeply mean something other than hey, look, you're in a state of abundance. Isn't abundance cool? You should be thinking about abundance some more. That might be all it was. Also, the universe is just kind of fun. And it's truly, if you think about something, you are just it's proof that you think about something, it can manifest. That's often all that it means, which is nice. But frequency in combination with other things can be important. Do I keep getting hit over the head with the same message? So sometimes it's a book. You've heard 3 different people bring up the same book in a matter of a week and you'd never heard of that book before. Maybe you're supposed to read that book. Mm-hmm. And what does it hurt to try to read that book?
So I guess frequency, maybe intensity.
I would say intensity. So I call this the side eye. So when it feels like something that makes you want to, you're in the office and you feel like you need to side eye the camera, did that just happen? That to me can be
style.
Yeah, a little bit like Fleabag. Yes, exactly like Fleabag. Oh, what a good show. Yes. If something happens and it makes you go, wait, did anyone else just see that? That was insane. That can be the more potent it feels, right? That can be a sign. Okay, maybe that's more than just a little nudge or a wink. that might be like a wake up call or a shaking me situation.
I also just want to remind you, you can ask for clarification.
Just ask. This is what Tosha Silver would tell you to do in Outrageous Openness. November 2018, if you want to go back and listen to that episode. I know it was a while ago. Scroll backward. We'll also link to it. But she would just tell you, just ask for clarification.
Right. You can ask, am I supposed to do something about this? If so, can you make that really obvious, please?
What does this mean? Can you just explain? You're literally allowed to ask.
Sure.
You don't have to try to figure it out.
If you're already engaging with these signs and signals, then why not ask follow-up questions? This is not just a one-way street of you're getting information sent to you. You can have a conversation and ask for clarification. I've done that many times. You have kind of a hunch about something, or you think something means something, and you're like, can you show me that one more time? Or show me something a little bit more specific or clear if I'm supposed to do something about this. And you'll get your sign one way or the other.
So one of the things that Tosha will often say too is if you feel like you need to make a decision and you don't know which way to go, just say, all right, here's what I'm going to do. If this is not right, stop me.
Oh, I love doing that.
And make it obvious. So again, the more obvious something is, I think the more that you pay attention to it. So the more in your face something is.
Yeah, you can say, I'm interpreting you this way.
Am I correct?
But if I'm wrong, please tell me. Yep. Please make that really clear.
Redirect my attention to what this really means.
Yep.
And again, I think this is, I know that this is hard because if you have a more logical brain, you want to make sense of it, or really just everyone's brain is wired to try to make sense of their surroundings. And this doesn't really exist on that level. Sometimes there is no logical sense to be made of it. It really just is encouragement or acknowledgement. And even if it's not, even if it's guidance and direction, it's not always going to feel like it makes sense. Like, remember how Francisca, our friend who's been on the podcast multiple times now, told me in, I think it was our Message from the Universe episode from Cinco de Mayo. It was May 5th, I think. She was telling me about how she discovered breathwork, which is a big part of the work she offers people now. But she discovered it meditating. So she was meditating and she came out of meditation and was like, I really want to learn to play the guitar. Random. But she looked up to guitar teachers and then she decided to go with the one that didn't make as much logical sense because he wasn't anywhere near her house. The other guy was like 5 minutes away from where she lived. This guy was like 30 minutes away. But she liked that, just liked the vibe of this guy. And then he introduced her to this breathwork teacher in talking to her about her, so then she got into breathwork. And so sometimes you don't know whether it's an in your face or just a kind of a little wink or something until you investigate. And sometimes...
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes it's revealed later and you look back and say, that seemed like just a weird little nudge, but look what it turned into.
Yeah. Well, but who knows, if she hadn't done that, it probably would have gotten louder.
Yeah, it would have come through some other way. You don't have to worry about missing these things.
Maybe that's the real point here, is that don't worry about misinterpreting it or getting it wrong or missing something that was actually an important sign, because the universe is like a bus. If you miss one, another one will be around in about 10 minutes and it will get louder. If it's really, really important, it will get louder and more obvious until you do something about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't stress about getting this right every time. You're not going to get it right all the time. It's like we're trying to interpret a bit of a foreign language because the universe can't speak in the same kind of language, or typically doesn't.
It does.
It does. But it's not always like, and now I would like you to go over here and talk to this person.
I want you to go to the 7-Eleven at 10:12 this morning.
Exactly.
And get coffee spilled on you so that you have to go to the dry cleaner and bump into a very hot man.
So you can have your meet cute.
Yeah. I would love it if it gave me that specific instructions. Right. But it does not.
It's because it doesn't. We're going to misinterpret sometimes. We're going to think it means one thing and it means something else. I just want to emphasize that if this is the challenge that you're grappling with right now, this is a really cool challenge. This is a very
nice
nuanced
problem to have.
Exactly. A very nuanced question that shows you've been doing the work.
Yeah. So it just might require you to get curious.
We're just fine-tuning now.
Yeah, just get curious. And like, what's the worst that happens if you follow what you think is a nudge and it turns out to be seemingly nothing? Well, you had fun?
Right.
I mean, it's just, there's no risk to exploring the nudge. So explore. And maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. But I promise you the things that do will eventually become obvious, and you need not fear that you're going to miss the right thing. It'll smack you upside the head. I promise.
Oh, yeah.
It just will. It'll hit you over the head like a ton of bricks eventually. Or you'll just like not be able to ignore it anymore. And it'll get so blatant that you feel like you're running away from it and it still finds you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. So, okay. That was a good question. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Very sort of departure from some types of questions.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a different kind, but I thought
it wasn't like I'm having this big problem. It was actually like I'm doing something cool and good. And
I want to get better at it.
Yeah. I like that type of question. So, of course, if you ever want to ask a Dear Krachel question, you can either pull up the show notes and link to the form on our site where every episode of the podcast always has a link to Dear Krachel, so you can submit a question at any point.
Or if you have comments on this week's questions, or if you're an old Dear Krachel person who wants to come back and give an update like Claire did, we'd love to hear those.
You can email us too. So if it's just easier for you to pull up an email and shoot it off to contact@clarityonfire.com, you can always ask us a Dear Krachel question there or send us an update too. So, okay, we will be back on Friday. No, I'm sorry, it is Friday. Tuesday with a Magic 8-Ball episode.
And don't forget, if you want to find out more about the Getting Over People-Pleasing course, just make sure you join the VIP list and we'll give you more information later on.
Okay, well, I mean, not even that much later on because it's going to be opened in 2 weeks for enrollment. So it's really
you're going to get early access at the very least.
Yeah, and some other good stuff. So, okay. We will see you on Tuesday.
Bye.